Hey, what's up, guys? It's Dan again from Crypto Camacho, and today, guys, I want to talk to you about something that I think is kind of creepy. Actually, happened to me just over the weekend. I was reading my phone and I read this article on this really creepy topic, and it relates to blockchain, it relates to cryptocurrency, and it really gives me kind of a perspective on where we're headed in terms of blockchain, cryptocurrency, and as it relates to security, privacy, anonymity, and so forth. I mean, what I was reading, it's about how governments plan to use blockchain and other kind of social credit systems to track citizens and to reward or punish them for different behaviors that they elicit. And I want to talk about this because I want you to understand how it relates to blockchain and cryptocurrency and how it relates to this ledger technology and what we can expect to see in the next, 5 years or even maybe shorter, 5 to 10 years, because I think this is really, really interesting and a very important thing that we should discuss and share with other folks, because if we don't, we're going to wake up one day and we're going to realize that we're being surveillanced, not only with cameras and whatnot, but everything we do is going to be tracked in a blockchain in some form or another, right? And so let me show you exactly what I'm talking about, guys. Over the weekend, I was just reading on my phone, on Flipboard, as I normally do, and I came across this very creepy article that's called "China's Social Credit System Fuels Authoritarian Regime. The West Could Be Closer to China's System of Social Credit Scoring." And it kind of piqued my interest. Like, what in the world is social credit scoring from a governmental point of view, right? I mean, it got me a little bit creeped out, a little bit, thinking about it. And then I start Googling this. I just Googled China social credit system, and I start seeing all of these articles come up. China social credit system, punishments and rewards. China social credit system, things you can do wrong. And it just kind of goes on and on and on. And it's essentially kind of a credit system that China has implemented to keep track of the behaviors of its own citizens, right? And even in this article, China's social credit system bans millions from traveling. I mean, that just sounds crazy. It sounds like a dictatorship. It sounds like, completely not free, in China. And so I wanted to dig in a little deeper. So if I go to Wikipedia and just look at social credit system, I can read what it is. The social credit system is a proposed Chinese government initiative for developing a national reputation system. It has been reported to be intended to assign a social credit rating to every citizen based on government data regarding their economic and social status. It works as a mass surveillance tool and uses big data analysis technology. In addition, it is also meant to rate businesses operating on the Chinese market. Wow. I mean, did you just hear what I just said? So China is proposing and devising a way to track its citizens through a mass surveillance program and then to reward or punish them on a social credit system. So what technology can you think of that is absolutely ideal for this type of tracking on such a mass level, right? Well, it would be no other than blockchain, than cryptocurrency, than your Bitcoin protocols that keep popping up and popping up and popping up, right? So this is getting more and more interesting as we kind of go down this little rabbit hole of what is a social credit system, right? So let's look a little closer at this. I mean, does China plan on literally tracking all of the behaviors, movements, whether physical, emotional, whatever? Are they planning on tracking all of those movements and behaviors of all of their citizens on the blockchain or through some sort of blockchain or cryptocurrency? It definitely looks like that's the direction China is going, and this should be alarming and a big, big eye-opener to anybody who's paying attention. All right, so let's dig in a little deeper. China's social credit system puts its people under pressure to be model citizens. I mean, this is crazy. This feels like out of a movie, like out of Minority Report or something, where the government is starting to track society in a way that is going to become so ubiquitous in terms of surveillance and tracking that you're going to have no privacy whatsoever. And this is happening right before our eyes. I mean, I knew that Blockchain would start to lead to the development of tracking literally everything and anything as it relates to data. You could track any type of click, behavior, demographic, psychographic, social graphic information on the internet. You could also track physical movements through cameras that are set up throughout society, right? You could track somebody going into a store, coming out of a store, what they purchased at a store, if they went to a gas station, if they drove by a certain intersection, if they've been crossing a border. You could track literally anything. And that data is going to eventually go onto the blockchain, right? And what it's going to be used for is a variety of things, but China is actually going to be using it to implement this social credit system to ultimately control 100% what their citizens actually do in society. That is crazy. If this doesn't scare you, I don't know what does scare you, okay? Let's read further. China ranks citizens with a social credit system. Here's what you can do wrong, and here's how you can be punished, right? So just browsing through, you can see that they are banning citizens from flying or getting on the train, right? If they do something wrong, they're banned from traveling, right? Throttling your internet speeds. If you do something wrong, the government will ultimately have the ability to throttle or to take away your internet speeds, right? They could punish you by limiting the amount of information or how quickly you can get information, right? Which is certainly a form of punishment in our world today. Banning you or your kids from the best schools, stopping you from getting the best jobs, keeping you out of the best hotels, being publicly named as a bad citizen. Prototype blacklisting already exists to punish people. This is crazy. This is getting scarier and scarier. Despite the creepiness of the system, Human Rights Watch called it a chilling, while Botsman called it a futuristic vision of Big Brother out of control. I would have to absolutely agree, and I think if this isn't looked at and taken control of very quickly, it can get out of hand extremely quickly. When you start looking at the power of AI, you look at the power of blockchain, you look at the power of machine learning and big data and being able to analyze and triangulate data to understand what people are doing. This is like the ultimate government surveillance tool and way to keep track and keep a harness on its own citizens, right? To ultimately limit the freedom of everybody out there. This is very, very chilling. China has started ranking citizens with a creepy social credit system. Here's what you can do wrong and the embarrassing, demeaning ways they can punish you, right? All right, so this goes into a little bit more detail. Banning you from flying, I already talked about that. Throttling speeds, this looks like the same article. Okay, things that internet can do to punish you. Okay, from jaywalking. So here's a few more things you can do to be tracked, right? So they're tracking everything with cameras, of course. Blocking the sidewalk. If you're blocking the sidewalk, you're going to get a punishment for that, right? Jaywalking. Here's different, punishments for jaywalking in their social credit system, right? In Telefusion, the Chinese AI firm in charge of the facial recognition technology is also working on sending texts to jaywalkers, alerting them of their fine immediately after the incident. They're going to then take that information, put that into the social credit system ledger or blockchain, and add that to your overall profile, right? I mean, this is wild. This is crazy. And then the last article, toward dystopia, China's social credit system, crypto, and what's next, right? So here's where they start talking about using cryptocurrency or blockchain to start tracking all of this stuff that China is doing with their social credit system. China announces it will soon begin implementing travel restrictions on citizens via its infamous social credit system. The reality of being one step closer to the dystopian world of science fiction novels seems close at hand, and the implications for government-controlled digital currencies are frightening in an extension of this, right? So what's going to happen is as cryptocurrency becomes, the standard or default form of currency or monetary value, and the world starts to use Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, what you think is going to happen is, this massive social credit system could be implemented and tied to your actual finances and purchasing power, right? So if the control is given to governments and banks to control blockchain, to control any type of cryptocurrency, and people start using it at a mass scale, they will then have the ability to turn it on and off and to block or throttle folks from using that particular currency, right? If you couple that with a social credit system similar to what China is implementing today, you get a very, very scary situation in which, you do something against the government or against the ruling class of the day, you will be punished. And not only will you have rights taken away from you, or be punished, by not traveling or not being able to buy something at the store or whatever, you're going to be punished actually with your finances and with your ability to purchase things. And so that is going to be a very, very, stark reality come here fairly soon. China's already leading the way in this. If this doesn't scare you, I don't know what does. This is one of the most frightening things I've ever read around cryptocurrency and blockchain, because of what they can actually do with it, with big data, artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data, and now blockchain. I mean, the possibilities of what they could do with this is very, very scary. It's very, very disheartening, honestly. And then you have folks that think, Bitcoin is kind of the ultimate conspiracy theory, right? And so I came across this post today on Reddit that says that the government created Bitcoin, possibly the Rand Corporation or federal banks, right? And so you start looking at this. Rand Corporation, a government owned. Some people are pushing for money to go 100% digital. The credit system, the bank wants to create digital. And the credit system, the banking system, they've wanted this for a very long time, and they can almost achieve this with cryptocurrency, right? So it's almost like there's this mass conspiracy going on leading towards this social credit system that China's already implemented. And it kind of goes to you gotta ask the question, why did Bitcoin Core turn into a bunch of kind of cult-like followers? And why is there this debate and war going on with Bitcoin Cash, right? There's this war going on and debate of whether or not Bitcoin Core or Bitcoin Cash is the real Bitcoin, and whether it can or can't be controlled. This, to me, guys, is writing on the wall. Something big is going on. There's definitely something in the background moving and brewing on this. Very, very scary stuff. I'd love to know what you guys think. I think this is kind of the beginning of the end in a lot of ways because of what's actually happening. Let me know what you think, guys. I'm Dan from CryptoCamacho.com. Very, very interesting stuff. Very scary stuff. Are you going to be a victim? Do you live in China? If you do, please comment. I'd love to know your thoughts on this, because this to me is scary. It's the ultimate way that government can control the people, which I think is always a very frightening thing to think about, right? All right, guys, I'm Dan from CryptoCamacho.com. Please subscribe by clicking on that little red button below, and I'll talk to you later.